What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Titch TV. Welcome back to Titch and Geezer's Results Roundup. And in this edition, we have two teams picking up their first victories. We have one team dropping their first lot of points. And as always, Manchester United have lost again. Anyway, joining me, as always, is my partner in crime. That is Mr. Geezer. Geezer, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, lovely week, mate. I've popped inside for tonight because the wind is blowing a bit of a gale out there, so I thought I'd get out of the wind and pop inside. But yeah, all good, mate.
Good.
Yeah.
Before we
An interesting weekend of results, wasn't it?
I was going to say, like, before we get into it, did you get to watch a lot of, all of the games that have played out?
Yeah, I watched a few games and I watched the main highlights of a lot of games. So yeah, I've got a good idea about what was going on in most games.
Yeah.
So yeah, Villa and Brighton was your first kickoff, and there was the first shock of the round, wasn't it? And you go, wow.
Yeah. So let's get into that. Villa 6, Brighton 1. Explain to me how was that possible?
I don't know, man. I'm not too sure it was a 6-1 game, but it just seemed to be every shot that Villa took, no attempts, it just seemed to go in.
Yeah.
Everything was, and some poor defending here and there at Brighton. They just got exposed and punished every time they made a mistake. Every shot they had, Watkins was in the right place at the right times for his goals. And yeah, they got severely punished. A bad day at the office, I'd say, for Brighton. I wouldn't say that's indicative of their season or it's going to ruin their season. But it was a big day for Villa, and it just shows you what they can do, given the opportunity.
Yeah,
and they're on form, Villa. They're having a good run, and they really did put a big performance in. Very surprised.
Right. So obviously, I think, like as you said, that won't hinder what Brighton are doing. They'll continue doing what they're doing. Coincidentally, the only time they've dropped points this season is against the Claret and Blues. And it's funny because you've mentioned the blueprint a few times since we beat them, but I don't know if it was Ollie Watkins or John McGinn, but one of them afterwards said, look, we watched what West Ham done to them. So they did actually use that as a blueprint. Whoever it was, I can't remember which player, but they did say that, we watched what West Ham done against them and, we implemented that. So yeah, that was on record as part of their plan, and clearly it worked. Just quickly before we move on, so Brighton are a small club, and I mean it respectfully. They are doing big things. Do you think the fans, when you lose 6-1, which is not often for them, they sort of can see way past that, and they just think, bad day. Next week we'll probably win. Yeah, like.
I would imagine so, Titch. Mate, you've got to remember. If you're a Brighton fan, they're punching massively above their weight.
Yeah.
Massively. They're overachieving. If you're a Brighton fan, you don't expect the heady heights that they've been in lately. And some of the results they're getting and the performances they're putting in, the entertainment value for the fans. No, I don't think they will. They'll just look at it that way. And I would, because, I enjoy watching them myself. I'm not even a fan.
Yeah.
And I'd say, it was a bad day, boys. Move on. Let's get to the next one. You just don't want to see that happen again in the near future. And I don't believe it will, You'd start worrying if you had 3 games on the trot like that. But I do think it's a one-off. They got done. They had a bad day. They made mistakes. They got punished. And they'll move on from that. And I think they'll probably put in a good performance next week.
Right, so... even after that, they're only 3 points off the top. They're only 2 points off of the two teams in second or third, obviously. So, it's just, I see it as a bad day office. Before we move on, I might have asked this question before, but I'll ask it again. When you look at strikers for England, as in potentially, if Kane's injured, if you had a choice between Watkins and Calvert-Lewin, which one of them would you go for?
Watkins, hands down. I'd have him. I don't think he's that great. I don't, England great. I think he's a really good striker. I'd have him at West Ham tomorrow. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about England, I want to see something a bit more exceptional than Ollie Watkins.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of games where he goes missing. He's not involved. He doesn't do enough. Doesn't finish enough. But I do think he's a good striker. I think he's a good hold-up player, lays off, and when he does get a chance, he will take it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think he's of that ilk to be classed as, England's number 9.
Yeah.
But he could prove me wrong if he was given the opportunity and, and a run in the team. He could prove me wrong. I don't get the impression he will.
Yeah. Okay, right.
But he's head and shoulders above Calvert-Lewin. For me.
Yeah. Right. We'll move on to the second game on this fixture list. And Man City have, for the first time, dropped points. And obviously, they ended up losing the game 2-1. And a funny stat is that Wolves only had 1 shot on target in that 2-1 victory. So, what did you make of that game?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's another one. City more or less dominated, but weren't that clinical. Wolves defended really well. I mean, Dawson had a cracking game. He kept Haaland at bay for nearly all the game. He cleared one off the line. It was a definite goal. And Neto got them going forward. And he shone again for Wolves. Neto, he was superb. And he didn't score the goal because I presume it's classed as an own goal. Yeah, but he created it. It was all about him creating that chance that he put across, hit the boy's leg and went in. So he was really good. And it was one of them. They just could not score. And maybe some of the injuries, they're missing Rodri and De Bruyne now. And it might have just caught up with them a bit, the injuries. And then not just the injuries, but, they don't have Mahrez anymore, don't have Gundogan. And I've said, I don't think City have played that great all season, yet they had 6 wins out of 6.
Yeah.
And maybe sooner or later that was going to catch up with them. And it did.
Yeah. Former Hammer was Gary O'Neill. Are you... I'm going to get to Bournemouth. Bournemouth have got 3 points. I think Wolves now, let me just check, have got 7. Do you think that he was harshly treated by Bournemouth? And now do you think that maybe... Yeah. What's your opinion on them getting rid of him after, his time in charge there?
Look, I think he stepped in there and done a good job. A good job, but I don't blame a club for having deciding on a direction, that isn't his. Maybe they think they can do better than him. I can't blame a club for that because that shows a bit more ambition, mate.
Okay.
Whether it works is another matter. But I do think he probably deserved another crack at it. But it's like anything. When Moyes kept us up, West Ham decided to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And went with Pellegrini. They just got the wrong man with Pellegrini. I never agreed with Pellegrini, but I don't blame a club for being ambitious in that way.
Yeah.
But for the guy himself, I think he'd done a reasonable job there. Now, whether he can, I watched Wolves this year, and really, there's been parts of every game they've played they've done really well. I mean, they could have beaten Man United, but lost. They could have beaten another team there, I forget who it was, but lost. They seem to be competing really well, but not getting a result. And that can catch up with you.
Yeah.
And on the one you don't expect them to, they pick up the 3 points,
Exactly.
So it's surprising. Whether that carries on, I think Wolves are still in for a hard season. I'm not overly impressed with them. I think with Neto is a big difference to them at the moment. But I don't see them ripping up any trees. But I don't believe they'll be part of the bottom 4.
Yeah.
So, I think that 10th to 15th is where they're going to be sitting for most of the season.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the game you were referring to that they also maybe should have won was against Liverpool at Anfield when they went 1-0 up. Yeah. That's probably the game.
Yeah, they had a really good game, but couldn't see it through. And they've done the same with Man United. So they have had decent enough performances, but they don't look like they can get results until now,
Yeah.
and they got it. So fair play to them. But I do believe, looking at them, they could go and play Sheffield United next week and lose.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't have confidence as a Wolves fan that they're going to, you know, carry on. And I don't know who their next game is, but you know, and put another 3 points in the ball. But they might get better.
Right. So I was gonna, before we moved on, I was gonna say City's next fixture, but Wolves have got a Midlands derby against their fierce rivals Aston Villa. They're at home, and this is what I was gonna ask you: how do you see Man City responding, seeing as their next game is away to Arsenal?
And that's missing Rodri again, isn't he? He'll still be out, will he? Was it one match he got?
Was he 2 yellows or was it straight red? I think it's 2 yellows. But then again,
it's 2 yellows. I think. Yeah, he might be back.
2 yellows would be, yeah, he would be back. But if it's violent conduct, then I don't know if that would be 2. So
I think it was 2 yellows good. Yeah. So yeah, I think they need him back. No, I think Man City. It's very rarely they have 2 bad games in a row anyway.
No, it was a straight red. It was a straight red, so it will be 2.
It was a straight. He's missing.
Yeah, I've just checked that now.
Well, it might be more difficult. It's definitely more difficult without him and De Bruyne. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could make it a tough game. You know what I mean? I can't remember the last time Man City had lost 2 games on a trot. And maybe, you know, it's a possibility this could be the first for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Arsenal will be buoyed by that, I'd say, knowing that, if them 2 are missing.
Okay, right. So we'll move on to the biggest game of the weekend, and that was obviously West Ham to Sheffield United 0.
Absolutely massive, that game.
And, yeah, Thomas Souček scored a goal that wasn't from a set piece, wasn't with his head. Are we now seeing, you know, a more realistic version of Thomas Souček now that Declan Rice is not
absolutely
in the team? Yeah,
absolutely, mate. He's gone back to the 2021 Souček that, you know, one hammer a year.
Yeah,
that's what we're seeing now, and he's been in form. And I say I love the look of that Kudos. But I agree with Moyes not picking Kudos for this game if it meant Souček not playing.
Yeah.
I think he should play for his form. He's scoring goals. What more can you want from the player? He's defending well. He's even putting passes through like Messi onto the wingers, like, you know, to create other goals. Yeah. My word, he was quality. He had a great game. He was a man of match for me in that game. Antonio fed him through and right foot, left foot, and he scored with his left. No, he's doing everything right at the moment, Souček. And I say that might be at the cost of Kudos, but I don't see any other option at the moment.
Yeah.
You know? And I want to see Kudos. I want to see that boy, because even when he come on for his cameo, mate, he done a run there, skipping past 4 or 5 players, and you went, wow, this boy's exciting. But I think Souček was the right pick for this particular game anyway, for sure. And I say West Ham to go 2-0 up. The first goal was crucial, and I thought it was a great goal. And a great pullback.
Yeah.
A great pullback by Soufal, picking out Bowen. You know, see him screaming for it, and he picks him out and bang. And Bowen was clinical, and it was great. And it was a really good first half. My issue with that game is, and it's only one person, and that's Mr. Moyes, is he decided not to play that expansive in the second half. He decided to go, right, we're 2-0 up and manage the game. Now, in some quarters might think that's smart, that's clever. To me, I think it's shit.
Yeah.
There's a scene there that we could have put 3 or 4 past and really entertained the whole stadium with the play. We had the players to do it. They were doing it in the first half. And it was evident that they were told to, you know, cut that out. Let's just manage the game, keep it quiet, keep the ball as much as we can, and frustrate them. And I'm going, why? 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 They never had not in the first half where we were being expansive. They never had an opportunity. They never threatened their goal. Why do you need to defend deeper to defend their goal? What we were doing was working anyway. Why change it?
Yeah.
And we did, and we didn't concede. They looked more threatening because of it. You know, they putting balls into the box. I mean, Ariola had one save maybe to make in the whole game, and there might have been 2 shots on target. The other one was just a pickup. But we never really threatened their goal in the second half. You know, a couple of odd chances, but I just thought it was disappointing not to, grab them, put your foot on their neck, and really put it into them.
Yeah.
But 3 points is 3 points.
Obviously, it was our first clean sheet as well. Do you think that he was? I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. Do you think that maybe after the first half, Moyes was kind of thinking, you know what, we need to get a clean sheet on the ball? Do you think, I know he's pragmatic anyway, but do you think that might have come into his thought process that at the very least we win this game 2-0 and it is a nil rather than us concede again?
Yeah, I've no doubt that's how he felt.
Yeah,
but I can go back to the days of Sam Allardyce. He done the same against Hull when we were 2-0 up and they were 1 man down at home at Upton Park. And West Ham fans booed him off the fucking park.
Yeah.
The time he cupped his ear to the fans. We got the 3 points, but it was embarrassing to go defensive against 10 men. And they scored. And they nearly scored an equaliser at the end because of his tactics. I don't agree with them. And I never will. I think Moyes done the same here, only Sheffield didn't have anything. To worry us. Hull did at the time. And instead of putting them to bed, like putting 3 or 4 past them where it's not an issue, no, he risked it. And all he cared about was the 3 points. But we nearly didn't get 3 points because of it. I just thought it's a bizarre way to play. And especially in this team where we got the players to hurt teams. We really have. And we showed it in the first 7 minutes against Liverpool. And we showed it in the first half here against Sheffield United. We scored 2. We could have scored 3 or 4. And I think if we'd carried on in that vein in the second, we probably would have got 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But he'll think his job done, managed the game in the second half, and we weren't terrible in it. We did still create a couple, but you could tell the difference in what we were doing, and that we were deeper, and we let them come into a game a bit more. And I just don't see why we had to. I really don't. And like I say, if we won 4-1, what difference does it make if we won 2-0? No clean sheet. So what? You know what I mean? Give the fans something to cheer about and nothing to stand. Because everyone I've heard talking about it, and me watching it, and the people that were there were bored shitless in the second half. Yeah. So, but if that doesn't matter, it doesn't matter to him. I know it doesn't. It's all about 3 points. And in that case, he done his job. So.
It's funny you said that. 1 second, hold on. Yeah, it's funny you said that because the question that I had while she was speaking was, once again, devil's advocate. Would you have rather that we approach the second half the same and won the game 3-1? Or, would you rather that or what transpired?
I would have done.
But 3.
Well, what we were doing the first half worked, but they never had looking anyway. We had them so far pinned back, with the attack we were having. They never looked like scoring. Never had a shot on target, never troubled us. So why should it be different in the second half? Why go more defensive and then bring them on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The attacking football we were playing in the more expansive football in the first half was not compromising our defence. We weren't leaving us open.
Yeah.
So I don't see why it should change.
Exactly.
But there you
go. Okay, right. So moving on. Newcastle picked up their 2nd victory in a row after, a tough start. Beating Burnley 2-0. And we will also go back to Burnley at the end of this because obviously they had to catch up last night against Luton. Anyway, so Newcastle 2, Burnley 0.
Yeah, Newcastle. Yeah, 2-0, yeah. Pretty predictable. Burnley didn't really offer much. I think that's. I think the commentator said. I think wrote something there. I think that's their 5th clean sheet in a row. Newcastle. They talk about clean sheets. Apparently, that's what the commentator said. 5 clean sheets in a row.
Maybe at home, because remember they went for a bad period.
Or maybe at home. Yeah.
Actually, no, you're right. You are right. Oh no, you're right. Right. So let me just reel this off. Starting back from. Okay, they had their bad run where they lost 3 in a row. Then they beat Brentford 1-0 in the Premier League. They drew 0-0 with AC Milan in the Champions League. They beat Sheffield United 8-0. They beat Man City 1-0 in the Carabao Cup, and then they beat Burnley 2-0. So that's gone flown by, because I can only remember. I just thought they 1-2 after losing 3, but yeah. So yeah, 5 clean sheets in a row, which I said to you on one of our episodes that, last year he prided himself on clean sheets, and after maybe 5 games they hadn't had a clean sheet. Now they've had 5 in a row, which is a massive
talent. Now they're going in the right direction, aren't they? But same. So Burnley, they didn't really offer much, at all. I don't think. But, it was pretty cruisy for Newcastle.
Yeah,
I think Joe Linton was missing again though. And I think they're a different side when he's in there. But Trippier was good. Trying to think of the goals.
Almiron.
Who scored the goals?
Almiron scored he cut in.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Almiron scored a banger, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's one of them. Almiron can have 30 shots, right, and not hit the target. And every now and again he pulls out a peach and it's a top corner. He's one of them players. I'd imagine Newcastle fans love him, but find him quite frustrating at times. But my God, he hit absolute cracking goal. Who's the other scorer?
And it was a penalty from Isak.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right. So I can't pull through them for Newcastle.
I'm guessing you watched the highlights of that game, yeah?
Yeah, I think I did.
Right. And the reason why I say this is because you said, they're missing Joe Linton. Now I've just learnt this because I thought I saw him. Joe Linton came on the 64th minute for Elliot Anderson, I believe his name is. He came off 4 minutes later for Tonali. So he was only on the pitch 4 minutes. So I don't know what his injury was. Yeah, so 4 minutes on
so that injury's still hanging about, whatever it was then.
Yeah, so that's
when he was missing before. Oh, he did come on.
Yeah, he came on the 4 minutes he was on the pitch.
Wow.
And realistically, no, I can only hypothesize, but he would have come on. He probably would have went down for at least a minute before coming off. So maybe he was only actually on the pitch. Yeah. If that.
Whatever he's got's not right then, Titch, obviously.
Exactly. So yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll come back to Burnley in a bit. Right. So, as I said at the start of this show, Man United have lost again. This time it was at home to Crystal Palace, and that was a 1-0 Palace victory. What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on? Ten Hag's jacket's on a shaky now. That's what's going on, mate. It's hanging on a shaky now because, especially after this morning. Now, as we're recording this, another loss to Palace. And I think Palace are pretty toothless, what I've seen of them lately up front.
Yeah.
And concede a goal against them and not score against them. Oh, my God. I mean, it just goes from bad to worse, doesn't it, with Man United? And I just don't know. I can't see it getting any better. I just wonder what I put down here. Can't even see the bloody game. Oh, you mean, did I put something? Oh, the goal. The goal. I forgot about that goal. Anderson.
Joachim Anderson, yeah.
Yeah, the centre half. And he's a guy that caught my eye a bit in the beginning of this season and the end of last season. Yeah. I think he's a decent centre half, not so without watching him week in, week out. He's caught my eye, but that goal here, my God.
Yeah,
if Ronaldo hits that, mate, they'll be showing up all over the world. It was absolute. What a peach of a shot! Top corner, great goal, great goal. Loved it.
Eric Ten Hag is setting some unwanted records. Now, don't quote me, but one of them is the fact that Man United is the first time they've lost their first 2 Champions League group stage matches. But then I heard it's the worst start, I think, in the Premier League since the 80s or something. Or not, sorry, because it wasn't Premier League. It's the worst start to a season dating back to, I think, the season before Ferguson took over or something like that. So, yeah, he's setting unwanted records.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Kieran James gave me another one today. He said it's the first time they've had 3, not that it was the Palace game, but this season they had 3 games in a row where they conceded 3 goals. There's all these little records that he's breaking, and little stats coming up against him. And there you go, wow. But it isn't, it's still the same. I just look a bit lost.
We spoke last week, and I said, I think I did anyway, or maybe it was on Stuart's the table team. But would the Man United beating Palace 3-0 at home in the Carabao Cup, would that have any bearing on the league fixture? When clearly not.
No.
And after the Champions League game last night, it was raining, but he looked a broken man when he was walking off the pitch. For me, I'm looking at his body language, his facial expressions, and he looked broken. And
he's under pressure, no doubt about it. The boy's under pressure. It's as simple as that. He's and he don't seem to have the answers, because you look at that team. Look, I believe that team could, next week go and beat a team 5-0.
Yeah.
They've got that in them, but they just don't seem to have any direction, and it don't seem to be any camaraderie there. There don't seem to be any philosophy. I just don't know what he's trying to achieve, and maybe one day it will click. I don't know, but I would have thought he would have clicked by now.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it's evident that it's not. I think Rashford is still playing well for him. He's doing all right. But the boy, the new striker they've got, looks a talent.
He does.
He looks... He's not Haaland, but he's Hoyland or whatever.
Hoyland, yeah.
Yeah, he looks a talent. He looks like a player. I mean, there's positive signs there, but they're conceding goals and they're losing games. And that's the be and end all. And as I say, they go and have Galatasaray today. Another record, I think that is. I think that's the first time Galatasaray have ever beaten an English team in England.
Yeah.
In the Champions League. And for me, the goals I saw from them, deservedly so. So, it's not going well for them at all.
Right, just before we move on, and we are talking about Champions League here rather than the Premier League, which is what this show's about, but is it very un-Man United to take the lead twice at home in a game like that and ultimately end up losing that game? And do you feel the spotlight is on Ten Hag even more so based off of his signings? And the person primarily that I'm talking about is Andre Onana. Is he making things worse?
Absolutely.
That was his guy.
Absolutely, because the difference is with De Gea, I think De Gea is one of the best keepers have been in the Premier League for shot stopping.
Yeah.
Now, he obviously, like Pep Guardiola and say Klopp, I think he thinks he wants a ball-playing goalkeeper, because you could not. De Gea was the best. Him and Pickford, and even Lloris at the time, shot stopping.
Yeah.
Not being ball-playing goalkeepers. They're great at it. And I don't think Onana's as good. But maybe, he wants a different dynamic from him, being able to bring the ball out with him. I don't know. Because I'd rather have, if I was a Man United fan, I'd be calling for De Gea to come back. Because I don't think he's been that good at all. I've seen him make quite a lot of mistakes now, in this first 7 games of the season.
Yeah,
and I just don't think it doesn't make him a bad keeper. He's just not performing to the levels he should be.
Yeah,
and I think it's costing them.
this is just a theory of mine. Do you agree that you can't bring in a player or a goalkeeper like that, expecting him to play a certain way until you sort out the team? You know, if you put a Nana
Yeah,
in Man City, maybe, you know, he will look like potentially like an Edison because they are
yeah.
anticipating, they're moving before, and you know, it seems like he's short passes and that are catching Man United unawares, which kind of defeats the purpose of him being there. So, do you think that, yeah, having him there when they haven't sorted out actually the team structure and philosophy is kind of doesn't make any sense? Or
Yeah, I still don't. I still don't think that gives him a pass for the one he done today, where he just passed it straight out to the forward, and they got a penalty for it, and they had Casemiro sent off because of it, because he had to stop him, and they ended up with a penalty, Galatasaray. Even though they missed the penalty, to be fair to Casemiro, he took the hit and got sent off, and he actually stopped a goal.
It worked, yeah.
But this is Anana got him sent off, and and they couldn't hold on, and still lost. But no, I think if you've got players, I think Arsenal found that at the beginning of Arteta, didn't they? They were passing balls out and losing them, but you still find the player. There's no reason why you can't get the ball to the player. Now, Arsenal's problem was them players couldn't hold on to it or pass it quick enough and getting caught and losing goals. But eventually, he got the personnel in there that can do it. I agree with that to a point. But when a goalkeeper, surely you can pass it, 10 yards without being 3 yards off the bloody defender. You've got no chance.
Yeah.
At least get it to his feet and let him cock it up from there. But no, I think he's had a poor start to his Man United career.
Right, moving on to what I think is a very, very shock result considering everything. So that was Everton 1, Luton Town getting their first victory 2. That was coming off the back of Luton only having 1 point prior to that, and Everton going away to Brentford and winning 3-1. So, yeah, what's your thoughts? Obviously, on
like I said, I think I said last week. I don't know where Luton are going to get a point or a win from, and I didn't think it'd be this game. And quite frankly, it shouldn't have been. Because Everton could have been 2-0 up at least before Luton scored, but they weren't. But having said that, what I will give Luton, the last 2 games, and that's this morning's game as well, I watched, you can't fault their endeavour. The quality is not there.
Yeah.
Especially up top. It's not there. But their work rate is phenomenal. They really do try, and they work hard for each other. And I'll give Luton that. They're battling away like a proper championship side would do, and that's what they are. And you've got to give them credit for that. And I think that's what got them through against Everton. Plus, Everton, as I keep saying, they're crap, and I think their only reason they'll survive this year is because they'll be 3 worst teams.
Yeah,
they're really poor, really, really poor. And with the players they got, they shouldn't be that poor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When you compare them with Sheffield United and Luton and even Bournemouth, they've got a better team by far.
Yeah,
and they're not performing like it. But Luton got the win, and in the end deserved it. But on another day, if they could finish Everton, the chances they had, they could have won. Yeah. It was one of them. But fair play to Luton. They took it to them and gave it a go. And that boy from the back, what's his name? Lockyer or something?
Yeah, Lockyer.
When he scored the goal, but, that was diving in right at the depth of when Young tried to clear it.
Yeah.
His leg and plunged straight in the net. Fair play to him, mate. He just put his body on the line. And and that's what you got to do, isn't you? And I do think they do work hard, Luton. I just don't think there's any quality there, and I just don't see. They're never going to score enough goals with what they got. I don't think to stay up. But it's a great win. It was a great 3 points.
before we move on, one bit of quality was that finish by, I think it's Carlton Morris, you know, who got their second goal. The free kick come in,
Yeah.
hit it on the inside of his foot volley. That was,
Oh, yeah. No, that was a good finish, guys. I'll give him that. Because what I've noticed about him, that boy gets up in the air, gets on the headers, but he just don't seem to be able to hit the bloody target with his headers most of the time.
yeah.
You know, they're either over or past the post. He doesn't get enough on target. But he's a battler, a real battler. But that finish, that first time hit, side foot, it was a cracking finish. Really good goal. He took it well. And maybe that's a glimpse. And it's strange that we sit here critique these players, and I say that Luton, Sheffield United, they're championship teams. It doesn't make them bad players. These are really, really, even to make the championship, you're a really, really, really good player. Yeah. And they all are. And I don't mean to demean them by that when I say, look, they're not good enough. What I'm saying is, at the level that the Premier League is at, you're nowhere near that level. Yeah. So to compete, they've got to work harder, they've got to get luckier, and they've got to finish smarter. And they've just got to be a little bit sharper than what they are. And like I say, that Carlton Morris to me looks like a championship forward. It doesn't make him a bad player. I just think he's up against some of the best defenders, in the country, or some of them in some teams in the world. And he's not going to compete with them. He has to really put himself about to get a footing, Yeah. So I don't mean to knock these players because they're far better than I could ever be, or I'd ever want to be. But they're just at a different level here, and I think sometimes it shows. That Carlton Morris, my God, you can't fault his effort. He would not fault his effort. I just don't think he's got, he lacks the quality at the sharp end of the pitch.
Yeah. All right, moving on to a game full of controversy, and that was Tottenham Hotspur 2, 9-man Liverpool 1. Wherever you want to start in this game.
Okay, hang on. How long we got? Could be about 3 hours. Fuck me. Oh, it's mental, wasn't it? I've never seen anything like it. And look, there's about 6 million videos on YouTube about this and how the audio's come out, and it's just non-stop, isn't it? But quite frankly, I'm delighted to see an actual game where Liverpool got not one decision go their way. Not one. Everything went against them. And that is so unusual. Yeah. Because I'm sure they're whinging, the Liverpool supporters are whinging and bitching and crying, and rightly so. Yeah. But they weren't whinging and bitching when I remember the game at London Stadium when the boy was 2.5 yards offside and they never picked it. The linesman standing next to him, let him go, and they scored. Right? That happened. Yeah. And did you remember that ball down the line went over Moyes' head about a yard outside? Wasn't that against Liverpool?
That was against. Was that Man United, that one when Pogba scored?
Or it was Man United and Liverpool? I was hoping
it might have been 2 times. I don't know. I remember the one against Man United. Yeah.
I might have been Man United. I knew it was red. That's all, mate. But when them decisions do go forward, there's nothing said, is there? There's nothing said. They're all right. Now, this one's a little bit exceptional. This is after listening to the audio today, I was gobsmacked.
I haven't heard the audio. What is it? What did they say?
Man, it's unbelievable. And the crux of the matter is it's human error, right? It's as simple as that, right? It's human error. What I couldn't understand was, or what they couldn't understand, is when that went to VAR, they took it over. They presumed that they'd given the goal. Yeah. But the on-field decision was offside. So, and it's all about terminology, nothing else. They thought they'd given the goal on the pitch and not the offside. Yeah. So when he finished looking at it, he went, "All right, no." Instead of saying, what did they say? Check. No, the words they used were check complete. But that's it. Instead of saying check complete, that was a good goal, or check complete, yeah, it was offside. They just said check complete. Right. So obviously the referee thinks, right, check complete. There's nothing else. It's offside. So and then when they played the audio, they realised, hang on, they started the game from the penalty area where the offside was. No, they meant to start it from the halfway line.
Yeah.
And one of them going, no, the on-field decision was offside. And you could hear him go, oh, fuck.
Does he say that?
They bleeped it out.
Yeah, okay. Oh, my God.
And he said, no, stop. We need to stop. But he said the game started.
It's really started again, yeah. You can't.
And the protocol of the game is once it's been restarted, you can't go back.
Yeah.
And then you heard another, oh, fuck. Couldn't do anything. So I can't do anything. I can't stop the game.
Wow.
So they knew they'd fucked up straight away.
Yeah.
And it was a complete cock-up. I just, when you listen to the audio, though, what I find amazing is when you listen to cricket audio between the guy doing the cricket one and the rugby union, they're calm. They basically talk to the referee, especially in the rugby union. They talk to him and go, right, I'm giving it. Yeah, he's handled it. He's got it there. Oh, what's the name? Is done. Yeah, no. Yeah, stick with the on-field decision. That's their wording. Stick with the on-field decision.
Yeah.
That's where this was lost when he said no, check complete. Because they'd misinterpreted what the decision was on the field.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they just can't. This VAR, it just seemed, there were just three voices going, and they sounded like they're under pressure, trying to get it done quick. And I think that's half the problem.
Yeah.
You know, they were under pressure trying to get it done quick. And as you know, a lot of people have been whinging when it first started. It's taken too long.
Yeah.
So maybe they were under pressure to get, decisions made quickly. No doubt they are. And it just went all pear-shaped. It was interesting to listen to the audio, and realise the cock-up they'd made. And we go, wow. And they must have been cringing for the rest of that game,
But I mean, do you think something like this basically reaffirms to us that they are making, across Europe and all the competitions, they're making a lot of mistakes with this, and maybe covering up some of them by, I don't know, different lines and different angles and.
No, I don't think it was, because these guys didn't make a mistake on they believed the decision they were making that he wasn't offside, it was a goal. But they presumed that on the pitch it was given.
Yeah.
So they didn't make a mistake with the VAR. The lines that they done clearly showed that he was onside. So they just was saying to the referee, yeah, he's fine. Yeah, complete.
Yeah.
Check complete. Yeah, it's a goal. Basically, all he had to add was, yeah, it's a goal. If he'd added that, yeah, check complete, it's a goal, then he would have gone, what? Then it would have been questioned, then it would have been dealt with. But it didn't. It just said check complete. So the referee went, okay, must be offside. Offside.
See, when I was watching the game, straight away I said, I think he's offside. And I've got no qualms with the referee, the linesman, because it was tight. But the fact that it went to VAR, and I feel, me personally, regardless of what you think, I think that I know it's hard because they're thinking they're checking for, it's hard to pinpoint blame, but no, forget what I was going to say there because, he was onside.
But this one, I've seen some of them close ones, guys, where I think, mate, it still looks onside, even though you've drawn the line, it still looks. But this one weren't even close. It's probably a foot and a half behind that line. Because
we had the 6-yard increments that they put on the pitch. We had that, and you could see that the defender was much closer to that line than he was. So it was
absolutely, with the grass line, the mowing, even the mowing lines. You could see how far back it was.
The mowing lines, and they are.
And yeah, you knew it. You knew there was a cock up, and you go, "Wow, that's bad. It can't be right there." Or this camera angle is so deceiving. What I'm looking at, you know, but it weren't. It was them. They cocked up, and obviously, I think they've already put in place. And the first thing I said, mate, all you got to say is, you know, it's a goal or it's offside, and it's done. And apparently, they're implementing that right now. But you know, the one thing about the VAR. Do you remember when the World Cup when they had that semi-automated offside?
Yeah.
When they went to that virtual thing that showed you. Well, that's apparently called semi-automated offside, and they were using it in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Right? And it worked really well. And the Premier League voted against it to use it in the Premier League. Now, the Premier League is the 20 chairmen of these clubs.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd love to know whether the Liverpool chairman voted against it because they didn't want it. To me, it clears all that. It takes out human error out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But they voted against it. I'd love to know who voted for it or if they all voted against it. And then you would have had this problem if you voted for it.
I've got a counter to that. And, you know, only because, I see a lot of, you know, the audio. I just don't bother clicking on them. But I saw another thing. The heading was basically saying the reason why we don't have that technology is due to the Premier League's issues or whatever it is to do with Nike. You know, they have to be, it's Nike. Apparently, the balls and stuff like that is, their relationship with Nike, because that's not, or that's broken down or something like that. That is why this technology is not being used. And I only saw the heading of an article and I didn't even click on it. So that was potentially that's how they may be now getting around that, saying, "Oh, because whatever." So maybe
you're fucking sponsored by Nike. Oh, look at it.
Exactly. Also, another heading I saw, didn't click into it, is apparently Liverpool are looking into having the game replay due to the laws of the game not being applied or something along those lines.
Fucking idiot. It's not happening. It's done. It's done. They've got to accept that. It's done.
Yeah.
Like I said, I remember we have lost games against Liverpool from bad decisions, right? We have lost other games from bad decisions where people have been sent off and they apologise later. There's no replay. There is no nothing. It's a fuck up. It's as simple as that. Get over it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate and nobody wants to see it. Believe me. Nobody wants to see it. But I'd had a smile on my face anyway. Bollocks, man.
Right, we spent a lot of time on this, so I'm going to try and ask you some just quick questions. None of these are written down. I always, whatever. Diogo Jota, idiot or harshly?
Yeah, idiot.
Idiot.
Bit unlucky with the first yellow goes up.
Yeah.
Bit unlucky with the first. He ran across, but I know, right? I've done it myself so many times. When the guy's got away from me, I run across the back of him and hope that when he's running, one of his legs come up and hit my knee and he falls over and I don't even look like I've made a challenge.
Yeah,
I know that. Every player knows that. And that's exactly what he did. And that's what happened. He went down, right, when he's 2 yards behind. He's like, I never done nothing. But you know it can happen. That little collision, that's basically accidental, but it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
And he got a yellow for it. So, but you could call it unlucky. But the second one, when he was on the yellow, a minute or so later, come on. Yeah. To me, you're stupid now. You've lost the ball. Now you're getting desperate to get it back. You don't need to lunge in. And, it's another yellow. So,
yeah. What about Curtis Jones? With all the technology, all of that. See me, I'm on the fence still. I am actually still on the fence. I'm a bit of both, guys. I know the challenge he was trying to make, right, and it was to get the ball. And unfortunately for him, he caught the top of the ball and his leg bounces off the ball, which I've done many times, and goes through and hits the player. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, the boy had his leg planted. If his leg had been out in the air, he would have just hit him and gone up in the air. It wouldn't have looked so bad. But because he had his foot planted, he fucking hit him and almost bent his leg in half. And, could have broke it.
Yeah.
Not that it was intentional, but that was the result. And the visual of it, on the cameras is bad. And I don't think the referee had any choice but to send him off. I thought he was unlucky. I don't think it was intentional. But then again, most handballs are not intentional and they get penalties and you get booked.
Yeah.
So this, I don't believe he meant to hurt him. But the reality is he didn't get the middle of the ball. If he got the middle of the ball, there's no issue.
Yeah.
But he just got the top after the ball and his foot bounced off it and straight into his shin. And like I say, because his leg was planted, it actually, bent it, and it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a bad injury. So I don't think that after seeing the visual, even though I don't like the one still thing, I think it's the first thing he saw was the one still when he went over to the camera. You got to show it in real time. But once you see what the effect of his challenge was, I don't think there's any choice. But he's unlucky.
Right, listen, I'm not going to move on because that's very, very, and we might only get 20 views on this video, but it's very disrespectful because we haven't even spoken about Spurs. One thing I would say is, I don't know your opinion. I was disappointed in Spurs that when it went down to 9 men and you've still got a large chunk of the game to go, they looked like devoid of ideas. They wasn't keeping their width. They were trying to come through the middle, which is surprising considering the way that they've shown us they play 11v11. So, but credit to them for persisting, fortuitous a bit with their own goal. But yeah, I'll allow you to speak about Spurs because we haven't spoke about them through.
Yeah, no, but I just don't think I don't think they've trained enough or been enough with Ange Postecoglou and know how to play against 9 men. I don't think it's come into their training thing yet. Because you do that at times in training. You play a couple of players less against another. Even if it's attack versus defence, you put 2 extra players on the attack to see how you defend against them. It does come into training. Yeah. And I don't think that's happened there. And they were coming through the middle, instead of stretching them, trying to drag them out. They were trying to go. And Liverpool were very, very compact. And you got to remember, there are 2 players down, but them 2 players are usually up front.
Yeah.
You can still defend really well with 9 players.
Yeah.
If you're smart. If you're smart with it. You're just not doing any attacking. But, they were struggling, Tottenham, to break them down. And they weren't, not saying, until the end when they did get the own, it was because they got wide and got behind them. They could not get behind them. And I don't think they were trying enough to get behind them. They were trying to come through the middle and knock balls over instead of getting behind them, knocking balls back. That's how you get, try and break down a 9-man defence or a team that's got 2 players less. And they weren't doing enough of it. And when they did do it, they got fortunate, smashed one across and got an own goal and won the game. And yet again, Tottenham, I'll give them this, they're resilient now. The Spursy thing is not happening at the moment because they seem to be trying to go to the end of every game to try and win it. And I know that's an Ange Postecoglou thing. He'll always say, you don't stop till the game's finished. You do not stop till half time. You do not stop till the final whistle. And they weren't. They were trying. They're trying to make something happen. And it worked for them. And they got the result. Fortuitously, obviously with the offside and the sendings off. But they got the points. But I think Liverpool were the better team.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Right. So we've got 2 more games to go. So the last one of this round, because obviously the other one was a catch-up. We still got 2 more this round. So the game was Nottingham Forest 1, Brentford 1.
Yes. Pretty uneventful game goes up, which I sort of predicted. I thought it'd be a draw, and it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember who scored.
It was
Forest.
Forest went down to 10 men. Norgard scored for, I think that was a good goal as well.
Got a header, yeah. That's right.
And then Dominguez scored for Forest. I'm trying to think that goal as well because I saw it briefly yesterday. But yeah, 1-0. Anything to write home about in that game?
No, not from the highlights I saw, mate. Weren't very excited. Again, that Forest pick up a point. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think they've got enough about them. I think Brentford have as well, not to be in that bottom, relegation fight. But still, Brentford aren't impressing me at the moment. And Forest sort of are. They're doing a lot better than last year, and they're nicking these points, and they're doing all right, but without ripping up any trees.
Okay, moving on to West London derby, and Chelsea have finally got a victory and also a clean sheet, and that was Fulham 0, Chelsea 2, and Chelsea's goals came, in quick succession in the first half. Yeah, how much of that game did you see? And
I've done the highlights again, bloke. It was Fulham again. I've said it at the beginning, didn't I, this season, that I think they'll struggle this season.
Yeah,
and it was quite evident in this game. They didn't offer much at all up front. Jimenez is just not the player he was. And since they lost Mitrovic, Fulham are not the force they were.
Yeah,
he was vital to them, I think. And it's just very hard to see him scoring that many goals and winning that many games. Chelsea, like I said, they've been crap. And even parts, in the second half of this, they were pretty non-existent as a threat. Mudryk got off the mark with a goal, a really cracking ball in from the boy into him, actually.
Kowa,
yeah. He put a lovely ball into him, and he took it well, Mudryk, which normally he doesn't. And it was a good finish and a good goal.
Yeah,
I thought young Palmer was shining a bit for him.
Yeah,
he seemed to have a pretty good game, the boy they got from City. And that was about it. I just think Fulham look toothless. They look average. The second goal that he was at their boy there. I think he's a bit of a stalwart for them. Is it Ream?
Yeah, Tim Ream.
He passed the ball straight to someone.
Yeah,
and they scored from that. It was pretty poor.
Been Palmer that he passed it to, maybe. One thing I noticed, and the commentators touched on it, but as a West Ham fan, is Issa Diop is always susceptible to that ball over him. He didn't read the play, I don't believe. He could have taken 2 steps back before Colwell shaped up to do that, and boom, he gets ahead on it. But he kind of once again flat-footed and that ball over the top, which we've seen many of times for West Ham, and just in regard to Diop, when we sold him, what was your thoughts on that? Did you want to keep him, or did you think the time was right for him to move on?
No, I didn't mind selling him, but I liked him. I like Diop. Maybe as a person more so than a player.
Yeah.
I just he's a lovely guy. He's just a lovely, gentle giant of a guy, and a really nice personality. So I liked him, but I always thought we could do better. I didn't think he was going to reach big heights. Yeah. But I just liked him as a person and his personality around the club. He's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
But,
right, before we move on to last fixture, another person that I had the same opinion of you in regards to just him as an individual. Also, I did respect him on the pitch, and that was Titch Kouyaté. So when I used to see the training videos, there was one where I think somebody was having an interview, and he's like, "Morning." He's
hello. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Good evening.
He's leaning on his shoulder, and he's just a funny guy. And so Titch Kouyaté for me was another one that his character was very endearing. And so I understand.
Yeah, exactly. When you see any of them training things of when Diop's there, he's always laughing, he's always smiling. Yeah, he's always been happy. He's always having a laugh with the boys. And it just seemed like a really lovely guy. Really humble. Yeah, nice boy. Yeah.
Right. So the last one means it's our 11th result, because obviously Luton had to catch up from round 2. And that was against Burnley. And as I said at the start of the show, another team got their first victory. That was against the other team that got their first victory. So Luton 1, Burnley 2, and Vincent Kompany now has a win on the board. It's only Sheffield United that haven't got a victory. What about that game?
Yeah, I got up this morning, mate, and it was on, but I went to watch it from the beginning. So I thought I'd watch the whole game. The first half was a chore, a real chore. It was pretty. It looked like a mid-table championship game. That's what the first half looked like.
Yeah.
But Burnley scored one just before the half-time break. You know what I mean? I don't think they deserved it, but they got one. And but the second half, my word. But Burnley were fucking terrible. I wouldn't say no. I'll rephrase that. Luton was superb.
Yeah.
The effort they put in Luton in that second half, the work rate they put in, they done everything. They just battered Burnley in that second half. Absolutely battered them. And I think it was Cullen, the old West Ham boy for Burnley. He got one off the line. It was a definite goal until he popped up. 5'5" of him.
Yeah.
He got a header off the line and cleared it. They were getting battered, and they got back to 1-1. Forget who scored for Luton.
I'll tell you now. Luton was Adebayo.
Oh, Adebayo, yeah, good feet in the box. The ball come to his feet, he just turned the defender and banged it through his legs and beat the keeper. Really good feet for a 6'6" geezer. Really good feet, and scored a good goal. But it lasted about a minute. They were actually still showing the replay of the goal when Burnley went up the other end. The geezer hit a banger.
Yeah.
What's his name? Was it Bergson or
Brun Larsen?
Larsen? Yeah, Bruno Larsen. He hit a banger to the top corner and made it 2-1. I mean, there was about 15 seconds after the kickoff. He scored it. You go, oh, wow. And then they battered them again and just could not make the breakthrough. Luton deserved at least a point out of this game and didn't get it. But Burnley didn't. But they got it. And I think they were lucky to get it, to be honest. And it's really, I say, if it was for better finishing, they must have had 5 or 6 headers that they could have got on target, Luton, and just kept putting them over the bar, putting them wide. They just weren't, they put lots of crosses into the box, but every header they seemed to have just weren't good enough,
Yeah.
They just needed someone who's really, really good in the air, and I think they get goals. But yeah, I'll give them that their endeavour was faultless. Faultless, it really was. They made a massive effort, and that just might help them. I think they're relegated myself already, but when you see that work rate and the effort from them players, maybe they can pull something out of the bag. I don't know. I thought that the boy that Burnley nicked from Sheffield United, was it Van der Berg?
Yeah, Sanderberg.
He looked good.
Yeah.
He looked good for Burnley. He's definitely a bit of quality, that boy on the ball.
I think it's Sanderberg. Yeah. I'm just double checking his name is Sanderberg. Right, listen, before we end the show, of the 3 promoted teams, Sheffield United, Luton, Burnley, just give me your thoughts on who's definitely going down and which one of these teams has probably got the best chance of staying up after 7 games. From what you've seen, who's definitely down and who's probably got the best chance of staying up?
Hard to say.
Yeah,
I'd like to give today, after watching that game, I want to give Luton a lot of credit for the effort they put in, but no cigar.
Yeah.
But Burnley probably all round are a better team.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the dogfight today, they were struggling. They were on the back foot. They were. And I say, I didn't watch Burnley last year, but they had all sorts of plaudits from the way they played football last year and won the championship reasonably comfortably. But I don't see any evidence of that here in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But they were playing a fellow championship side that came up with them. And I didn't see any evidence of it here, apart from maybe 20 minutes in the first half. But in that second half, I saw none. I saw a team under pressure, just hacking and booting and kicking and just trying to survive for a lot of that game. So I don't really have a lot of hope for any of them.
Mm.
But the more I see Bournemouth, the more I worry about them.
Yeah.
And say Everton might survive because of all them teams that are that poor.
Right. Sorry. Before we end the show, we haven't even done bloody my mistake. Bournemouth v Arsenal. It's only when you said them, I thought we haven't even.
Oh yeah, I don't want to talk about Arsenal. That's why. Fuck 'em.
Right. So I'll probably have to. Yeah. Whatever. We'll have to edit this. Yes, and Bournemouth 0.
I don't know.
Arsenal 4.
We do Arsenal at the end. That's where they should be.
Right. So in that game, Havertz scored his first Arsenal goal. Albeit from the penalty spot, which Odegaard was kind enough to let him have it. Saka scored, Odegaard scored, Havertz scored, and Ben White scored. Yeah, Bournemouth 0. And I know that some experts, when you look at Sky Sports, they do like a predictions thing before the round of fixtures, and they had a feeling that Bournemouth, I think, would win this game 1-0. Whoever was making that decision.
What expert come up with that?
Yeah, before the game they have they had West Ham down. They might have had West Ham at 2-0. They go through it, everything as an analysis. And
Bournemouth were going to beat Arsenal.
Yeah, that was somebody's tip. You know, the guy that has the tips. Right. And, somebody. Yeah, they said.
Yeah. I wouldn't be putting money on what he picks then if that's the case. I don't know. There was only ever going to be one result there. Right, it was Arsenal winning. It was just about how many? Whether it was 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
And it was 4. Yeah, it was a simple day for Arsenal. It was as simple as that. Havertz got a goal. I mean, they gave away 2 penalties, Bournemouth, and I mean 2 ridiculous dead set penalties.
Yeah,
diving in, taking the boys' legs away in the penalty box. You go, what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing? I mean, it was stupid defending, and they just handed it to Arsenal. And like I say, whether it be Saka taking the penalty or what's your name, Odegaard, now Havertz, you have your first goal for Arsenal. And you never know, that might spark him up to score another goal in the next 20 games. Who knows?
Listen, I've just realised that I've made a big mistake here. I keep saying people getting their first victories and all of that. Bournemouth haven't won this season. They've drawn 3 and lost 4. So I didn't even realise that. I thought it was now just Sheffield United hadn't won a game. But yeah, Bournemouth also haven't even won a game, which,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Overlooked that. Yeah, I didn't realise that.
That's why I said the more I see Bournemouth now, the more they should be getting a bit worried. So that it might be a reason, getting rid of Gary O'Neill, whether that was a good decision or not, because they're looking vulnerable.
They've scored 5. They've let in 15. By all accounts, this was an attacking style of play manager they brought in, but they've only scored 5 goals, so that clearly is not working yet. I didn't even realise that.
No, at the moment, they're amongst, Sheffield United, Luton, Everton, Bournemouth, Wolves, Fulham. They're the teams I think that, have to look over their shoulder.
Yeah.
That little lot there. I think most other teams will be fine. I think the likes of Brentford and those will be fine. Villa and Brighton, forget about them. They're going to be well up the pecking order. So them teams there, right up to Fulham and Wolves, I think. Even though I think they won't be relegated, but they'll be looking over the shoulder for a big part of the season.
Yeah. Right. Well, that eventually finally wraps it up. Lots of mistakes by myself, but yeah, that wraps up this results roundup show. It's Wednesday today, and then obviously we're back on Saturday for another round of fixtures. So we had to wait until Luton played Burnley before we could actually sit down and do this. So 11 game weekend. Yeah. Apologies any Arsenal fans that might come across this. I generally nearly forgot. Luckily, Giza prompted me there. Otherwise, we could have literally overlooked the whole fixture. But yeah, thanks as always, anybody that tunes in, anybody that's supporting the channel, supporting what we're doing. Thanks to Giza as always. And yeah, Giza, any final words before we wrap up this show?
No, mate. We've Europe all week, and then another load of fixtures at the weekend. We've got Newcastle. There's a couple of tasty fixtures this weekend coming up. I don't think the scrutiny on VAR next weekend might be horrendous. Everyone will be questioning it now. But hopefully we won't see that mistake again, because I don't think we will. I mean, it was complete human error. And like I said, at the end of the day, we remember the time when Sheffield United lost that goal when it was over the line, and the thing wasn't working, and it was clearly over the line. You know what I mean? There was not, the big deal of that. It wasn't such a big deal then. It was a big deal for about 5 minutes. So I don't want this going on. Poor Liverpool, poor Liverpool. No, it's done. It's a cock up. We've had it many times. We've lost games because of ridiculous decisions. So I'm not too fussed about Liverpool. You just got to get over it and just remember it. That, if you lose the league by a point, well, then maybe you can have a real whinge. But we'll worry about that then when that happens. But it's VAR now. Unfortunately, we've got it, and the good and the bad come with it.
So no more Liverpool, as people normally say. No, they've lost that relationship with each other.
Look, let's put it this way: it gets more right than it does wrong, especially with the offside decision. It's normally 99% right, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
So this was just a calamity, and unfortunately, you're gonna have to get over it and get on to the next one. I don't know when the next cock-up's going to be, but I'm more worried about the handball law than I am that. Let's put it that way. Because I think that needs to be addressed rather than this one incident where it just all went wrong.
Yeah, and, the only good thing from this incident is that they have to learn from this. And all that learning is just about communication. How do you communicate what you're checking for? So they can only improve in that aspect.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, everybody, and we will see you in the next one. Ciao.
I'm going to catch you later. See you later, boy.
Laters.